Good morning, everybody. I'm here with the amazing psychic Liz Cross. How are you doing this morning?
Next question, please.
Okay, next question. Yeah. Well, we're gonna do okay. This video is gonna fix everything, I think. That's what we're gonna put everybody in a better mood. Okay. So right now you may sound like my nose is kind of plugged when I'm talking. That's what it sounds like to me. And that's because I have a cannulus in my nose and I'm breathing something in, and it's the machine that you see on your screen here. What you can see is this machine that's putting gas into the water. And this gas is hydrogen, oxygen, and something new called electrically expanded water. And I've used it before, but I have the machine here with me, borrowing it right now. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to do a probe on it and see what it's doing to my body. So can we pull in Mei Wen Ho, our resident health expert?
Yes, yes, of course. I'm intrigued. I don't even know what this is, but I'm sure you're going to tell us all about it.
Right. So it's most people would be familiar with something like this because it's hydrogen. That's one of the components. So breathing in hydrogen gas, it's pretty well known now. There's all kinds of studies done on it. There's a hydrogen foundation that has collected thousands and thousands and thousands of studies on people that have inhaled hydrogen gas and drinking hydrogen infused water. Everything from sports performance to cancer treatment. It's just well, hydrogen is basically the building block of everything in the universe, right? It's the smallest atom. Protons, it's associated with protons. So essentially, your body is built of hydrogen, right, at the molecular level. So in that sense, we're kind of putting back in, the building blocks of the body. Now, normally, your body will make its own hydrogen in the stomach. There's actually gut bacteria that release like hydrogen sulfide and basically hydrogen that your body uses. However, we just did I don't know if it's been released yet, but uh, the probe on pesticides and glyphosate. It's believed that that is actually eating away at that bacteria, so that we no longer are efficient at making hydrogen in our stomach anymore. So actually, that's something that I want to ask about because that's I don't know how well that's proven across the board, but that's the theory, anyways. So can we ask Mei Wen Ho, the bacteria in our stomach that make hydrogen, are they being wiped out by the pesticides that we're eating,
Ooh,
consuming?
the bacteria in our stomachs that make hydrogen, are they being wiped out by pesticides? By processed food.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't see that one. I guess that's obvious too, but interesting. What's the component in processed food that's wiping out those bacteria specifically?
What is the component in processed food that is wiping out the bacteria specifically? The sodium content.
Okay, so the sodium content. Okay, so like the refined table salt.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so it's highly processed salts and it's been stripped of all the minerals. So I'm assuming that's part of the reason at least. Okay, interesting. So yeah, everything that's high in salt that's in processed foods, I mean, yeah, you're not getting all the good stuff from real salt, but you're also getting like the processed version that apparently is killing our gut bacteria. I actually have never heard that before. So I don't know if I've just missed that or that's new information. It could be. Obviously, we knew it was bad for you before, but I'd never heard that specific side effect from it before. Okay. So in that case, can Mei Wen Ho tune into my body right now? And because I'm breathing in this gas right now, what is it like on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of the stuff that we viewed so far? How does this rank?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how does this rank? It's about a 6.
Oh, okay. All right. And then I also have, sorry, 1 second.
I feel like this is going straight to the bloodstream.
Yes, you are correct, actually. So when you breathe it
Okay.
in, it's going right to your bloodstream, and it takes, depending on how much you weigh, anywhere from like, 10 to 20 minutes to fully saturate your blood in your entire body. Now,
Oh,
the other thing you can do is if you're looking at the screen right now, you can infuse water. So I have some water in front of me that I've infused. So I'm going to drink that. Now, what does she think about drinking the water? Is that any
It's
better? Or?
good for the digestive system. It's alkaline,
Yes.
okay, is what I'm getting,
Yep.
but it's not as effective as breathing it in.
Interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, because you were right. Because when you breathe it in, it's going into the bloodstream. That's getting around much quicker than going through your digestive tract, which has to go through your digestive tract, right? And then get absorbed and then go through all the
Mm.
processes. Um, so all in all, breathing and drinking, is it still a 6 on the scale of things?
Breathing, sorry. So I'm sorry, what was that question? Breathing it in?
Breathing it in and drinking the water, is that still a 6 on the 1 to 10 scale?
No, that's a 9.
Ah, okay. See, I was wondering
So
because, hmm,
let me give this to you. The alkalinity in the digestive system is very good for anti-C properties, anti-cancer
uh-huh.
properties. If you did this, or if you consume like an alkaline like this every day, I'm getting that it could possibly shrink polyps
Mm-hmm.
in the digestive system. And it would, that would sort of add in that buffer between you and, a polyp becoming cancerous.
Right. So actually, there are studies on this specific gas.
Oh,
Now, I should mention this isn't just hydrogen. This is hydrogen, oxygen, and then another component that doesn't normally exist in most machines. A lot of people have hydrogen machines out there. It has a new component. It's called, well, we don't know what to call it. It's so new that people have different names for it. One name is called electrically expanded water. And
oh,
really what that is the plasma form of water. So in physics, there's 4 states of matter, actually. There's a solid, liquid, gas, and then a plasma. So an example of a plasma would be a lightning bolt, would be an example of plasma everybody's familiar with. So this is almost like electrical, like water gas would be like another way to say it, I guess.
oh, wow.
And so when you're breathing this in, you're getting the hydrogen and the oxygen, which is kind of like what most people would expect, but then you're also getting this negatively charged kind of like water vapor, I guess. So that is something that is new. And it's giving hopefully your body a negative charge. And this gas specifically is called Brown's gas. That's what it's called. It's named after the person that found that substance first, Brown. His name was Brown. I think he was somewhere Eastern European and he moved to the United States. And interestingly enough, it wasn't designed for health use originally. They made an alternative to acetylene torches. So, like cutting metal with the big torches, if you're a welder. Well, this person developed this machine that would cut metal with this plasma. And then someone figured out, oh, the gas that puts off, you can actually breathe it. I don't know how they figured it out, but they started
Hmm.
breathing it and they had massive changes in their health. And so people started crafting machines that would just, be more, easily you could make water and you could breathe the gas with. So now it's been studied in glioblastomas, which I believe is a brain tumor, and
Oh,
several different types of cancer. Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So, some of the things that are touted are, you can use it for um, anybody that has like osteoporosis or arthritis or anything to do with inflammation, rheumatoid arthritis, because it's so anti-inflammatory. It's massively reduces inflammation. Um, like you were saying, the other thing what's interesting is that I noticed as well is I'm hungry, like increasing my hunger. So there's a hormone called ghrelin. I didn't even know about it, but I read about it last night, and I knew about the hormone, but not the effect from the hydrogen, that it actually increases ghrelin. So that's why I guess they give it also to people, undergoing cancer treatment to increase their appetite. Right. So that's kind of cool. So well, let's ask May Wen-ho some more questions. How does she feel someone that uses this, they have to use it on a regular basis? Would she agree with that? It's not like a one and done thing. I already know that, but
every day.
yeah, every day. And what, it takes about, like I said, 10 to 20 minutes to saturate the blood. Um, so how often would be recommended for just the average person to breathe it to get the, minimum effective dose or maximum benefit?
Well, you don't want too much,
Okay.
okay? Because you can then throw the liver into toxicity.
Ooh, yeah, I haven't heard about that. Okay, so what's too much?
30 minutes.
Okay, yeah, so only that's what's recommended is like maximum like 30 minutes at a time. And then how many times a day could you do it?
The minimum is about 8 to 10 minutes. And how
Mm-hmm.
many times a day? Well, it depends upon your health. Okay. So if you're
Right.
somebody with a lot of chronic conditions,
Mm-hmm.
then you want to maybe try for the maximum, but what she's saying is you want to do it gradually.
Okay.
You want to gradually increase it to the maximum.
Okay.
Um, you will feel the benefit, she says.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
I
for
said,
me, it's just giving me energy. But I know other people that have used it that have been like quite compromised, and they've had some pretty dramatic turnarounds from breathing it like a lot. Um, yeah, I
but
mean,
see, sorry, that increased hunger thing, like, no, that's a no for me. I don't want anything that increases my hunger whatsoever. Right? So why is it because it stimulates? Let's ask her. What does it stimulate the hunger? It makes everything sort of flow. It gets the body flowing again. It gets the hormones being produced again.
yeah. So a lot of people are, just don't have those hormones going. So
Okay, let
yeah.
me ask this question. What about dopamine and oxytocin, the feel-good hormones, for those that are suffering with depression? It's excellent for people who suffer with depression.
Yeah, you do feel good. Like you do feel my well-being is like improved. Like I feel, I don't want to say like I'm like high, but like there's a little bit of a high, like a high that I feel when I use it. Um, like a little bit of a pick me up. It's not intense, but it's there for sure. So and my theory is like, for someone like myself, it's very apparent. Like I get energy, I feel good, but for other people that are more compromised, like my theory is that the machine is taking the hydrogen and the energy that it's giving to the body and it's taking it and putting it where it needs to work. So it may not give you energy right away if it's having to, work on your brain or work on something else intelligently. Would May Wen-ho agree with that? That it's the body's intelligently taking and putting it where it needs?
It is the body taking in intelligently and knows where it needs to go. Yes, that's how the body is designed.
Right. So you may not see the increased energy right away if you have something else big going on. Maybe you don't even know about.
Well, diseases and damage, they're energy sapping, right? Is
So
what you're telling me.
yeah. Okay, so I do know one woman in particular. She was in her 80s and you know, she used it like extensively for about 2 or 3 months and she's like, pickleball? Do you know the sport? It's like kind of like racquetball, but like
Yeah.
outdoors. They play it like tennis.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
she's like playing that like she's like outplaying people like half her age, I think, so at some points. Like she's like just almost crazy energy. Like you would not know she was 80 anymore, in her 80s. Like what's going on for someone like that? Does this machine have like the ability to restore youth to some degree?
It does have anti-aging properties. It ultimately cannot stop the dying process.
Mhm.
Everybody wants to stop the dying process. And in an ideal world, I do too. I
Yeah.
really do. But you're up against gravity, and gravity is what pulls the body, because the body, what she's telling me is that the body has to strike a balance between, itself and gravity. And
Mm.
as the body starts to deteriorate, the gravity is weighing it down, as in that's what's causing a lot of the breakdown. It's the force of gravity. And so what, so with this mechanism, would drinking the water be most beneficial? Doing both for anti-aging would be beneficial. Obviously, you need to, this is not official medical advice.
Yeah.
We always have to say that. And you would need to get clearance from your doctor depending upon what issues you have. Would this affect blood pressure? It can. It does lower the blood pressure.
Yeah, that makes sense because it does have a calming effect. It does.
So if somebody is, suffering with blood pressure issues or low blood pressure already, you could actually, damage yourself if you take it and you're prone to low blood pressure. It lowers it
Right.
even more to the point you lose consciousness. You don't ever want to do that. So that's why when you start anything like this or anything new, she's saying it has to be a very gradual approach.
Okay. Let's ask about drinking the water specifically. So what's the, the optimal way to drink this water? Should it be the only water that we drink if we have a machine, or can we add, do we need, I add back minerals into it, obviously, anyways, but, what does she think about drinking the water? What's a good protocol for that?
So no more than 4 glasses a day is what she's
Oh,
saying.
so 4 glasses meaning like cups, like a measuring cup?
What is it in a measuring cup? 8 ounce,
Eight
eight
ounce.
ounce
Okay.
glasses, yes.
Okay. So
And
32 ounces.
she's
Okay.
32 ounces because then if you just drank that and you didn't have anything else in the any other liquid intake into the body, just mostly that, then you're starting to put yourself in like a dangerous territory with the toxins in the liver, because
Uh,
your liver can only detox or process so much, right? And because it forces like this processing, um she says that it could be too much and cause damage. So it's about
interesting.
striking a balance.
Okay. Um,
Let me
yeah,
ask her this question.
sure.
Is that just for what anybody on like an alkaline? No, no, because I was thinking, well, if they're on an alkaline, where they lean towards more of an alkaline diet, does that mean that they're also in danger? And she says, no, it's really this liquid.
Yeah.
It's because the liquid is saturating, and it's the way it's saturated with this hydrogen, and it's the way it's absorbed.
Okay. Now, the other curious thing too is that when you first drink the water, you're gonna pee like immediately. Like everybody
Oh, really? Oh
experiences
my
that.
God.
So I mean, the theory is that your body prefers this water, so it's flushing out everything else, and it's gonna absorb this and put it in place. Is that true?
Why is it that you have to urinate like almost immediately? Yes, it's doing an exchange.
All right. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it would rather use this type of water as opposed to the water it already has stored in and around the body. This is more beneficial. This is more powerful than the regular water we have stored around the body. So
Is
she says that's exactly what's happening.
is
Then the
it
body starts offloading.
is it because of the negative charge of the water?
Is it because negative charge? Yes.
Okay. And oh geez, what else was I gonna ask around that? Oh my God, I just lost my question there. I had a train of thought. Um, so okay.
Well, let's ask this. Why is the negative more powerful? Is negative charge always more powerful than positive charge? No,
For
not
the
necessarily. It's the delivery.
hmm, what does she mean by the delivery?
What do you mean by the delivery? How it's entered into the body.
Oh, okay.
Because water is, a conduit for electricity, she's
Mhm.
saying, that makes it much easier for
Okay.
it to, take into effect, because it's basically an electrical charge.
Yes. Yeah, it's electrons is what it is. Electrons. Okay, so there's a specific type of water that exists inside the cell, and that's sometimes it's called metabolic water or exclusion zone water. We've actually probed it a little bit before. The idea is that this water would be a good precursor to build that in your own own body to build that. Is that true?
So I'm sorry,
So
the question.
okay, sorry. Let's break that down. So
No, it's okay.
the water that's inside your cell, is this a precursor for that water? So meaning if you drink it, your body can easily make that essential water that's in your cells.
I mean, is that what it is? I mean, she's saying that's a simplified approach to it. Yes.
Okay, well, I'm a simple man. I
Well,
don't
I
have
mean,
all the
I don't think
degrees that
so.
Mei Wen Ho does, for sure. Breaking it down for the layman, all right? Okay. So that's interesting. For those of you that don't know, there is a special type of water that exists in your cell, and your body has to somehow transform the water that you normally drink. So the idea that I'm proposing is that this water, it takes less energy to essentially transform the water into that metabolic water. So it's, anytime your body uses less energy, you got more energy for other things. It's a energy process.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay. So a lot of times with like scalar and these generator, I don't even understand how these things work, but I'm in all these little Facebook groups and I watch what people say. And sometimes they'll put the the medication, right? They don't want to actually ingest the medication into their body. So they will put the medication onto this metal plate, and then they'll send it with the frequency wave to the person that it's intended for, and they still feel the same effects.
Yes.
Okay.
Like
So
energy medicine.
right. So you know about this because I know you know a lot about scalar and
Yeah.
so my question is, obviously it's the delivery, as she said, and you've got the hydrogen going in, the electrical charge going in via the water. But what if we put, no, see, that doesn't work. So I was
I
like,
think you're
the
going
first,
somewhere with this. There's something you don't know yet, but I wanted to see where you're going with it.
okay, so what if you were to put the hydrogen water onto that plate and then transfer it by frequency into the body? I was just as an experiment, and she says no, it
Okay.
doesn't work because it needs a conduit and it can't just be a frequency, an airwave frequency.
Okay. Well, how about this though? There's the machine. I have no idea how to do this, but this is what I've read about it is that, remember how I was saying it used to be used as like a settling torch. You can cut metal with it. Well, if you still had a way to do that, you put the torch and the runoff of the water that comes off the torch, because it expels water as like it's a symptom of you blowing the torch. That water that drips off, supposedly it's something called new water, and it has no memory or anything programmed into the water anymore. It's like a clean slate. So first of all, let's ask if that's true. If you're using this machine as an acetylene torch, the water that comes off it, is that this new water?
Is that new water? It is.
And so it's completely clear of any water memory.
So it's completely clear of any, yes.
So can you program that water like you were saying with whatever you want?
Can you
Information.
program that water with whatever you want? You can. Okay. Right. But if you're just thinking in terms of like cleansing water, then I have to ask this question. How do we cleanse? Because that's interesting because water does hold memory. You are absolutely right. It holds memory. And how long, so that when it's flowing, right? When it's flowing, that's sort of a cleansing process. And you did a whole video about that. You told us all about that. Now, how do we, if we just use regular water we put it into a glass. How do we cleanse that water and reprogram it?
Well, I
And
mean,
you would
yeah,
need
yeah,
to use an electrical charge. And she's saying, and I'm asking her, would it be charged by the full moon? Yes, it would. Now, we just had a full moon yesterday. So
yeah.
those of you
I've
that are
seen it
listening,
this
you
morning.
missed the
It's still
boat.
there.
Oh, it's still there. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you know, and my powers 3 days leading up to the full moon are very strong. So let me tell you, the last 3 days I was doing CTT after CTT after CTT after CTT. Are we able to CTT a glass of Mr. Photon's hydrogen water into us? No, it has to go by way of water.
What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? It has to go by way of water. Isn't that?
So it's energy.
Yeah,
Okay, the hydrogen is energy,
yeah.
and it can't travel via the energetic lines that we use for CTT, right?
Oh,
Because
okay.
that's what we're doing.
Yes.
Basically, we're activating the energy strands, we're sending energy, we're receiving energy, we're doing all of that. But no, the hydrogen has to have the water as a mode of travel, a mode of
Right.
transport.
I see. I see. Okay.
Because I was thinking, wow, I wonder if you could just set a glass on your table. We label it with a target number, and then we did an experiment where there's a part of target, 1, 2, 3 that knows how to easily and joyfully manifest the optimum benefit within my body. That part of its being is willing to inform the rest of me now, right? And so I was wondering if we could transmit it just as an experiment over to me, just to see if then maybe, excuse me, I felt the benefits of your hydrogen water without having to go buy a machine, right? But
Mhm.
no, it has to travel by way of water
Gotcha.
or
Okay.
liquid.
Okay. Interesting. I wasn't gonna make this video too long. Maybe we'll do another one once I actually come up with some questions after I've used this. I'm able to borrow this machine for a few days, so hopefully I might come up with some more stuff to ask and we'll do a part two. Or if people want to ask questions, maybe we can have it for our members. If they want to ask questions, and we'll make this a part two for the members. Maybe that's what we do.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I mean, we're always looking for ways to improve our health. So I have another question for her. Which is better, this hydrogen water or deuterium depleted water? Hydrogen water. Okay.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, well,
Are you
that's
shocked by that? I am too a
yes,
little bit. Why?
I
Why
am
does
too. Well,
why?
okay. The deuterium depleted water is well, in terms of like if you had, I mean, cancer, for instance, I mean, it's been
Mm,
shown. And there's two researchers out of Hungary. They've written books. They're lecturing professors, and you can look them up. Gabor Sommelier and he and his partner. He has a book called Defeating Cancer. I can't make the claims, obviously, but there's some striking claims about shrinking tumors using deuterium depleted water, and just how it affects the mitochondria and increases energy to the entire body. I would have thought that would have been a way more powerful tool than this. Um, so why is it that this is the hydrogen? Or now when we're talking about this, is she referring to the Brown's gas or just the hydrogen by itself? Because remember, it's two different things.
okay, explain that. Brown's gas?
Brown's gas that's what I'm breathing and drinking right now. It does have hydrogen in it, but it has two other components, which is oxygen and also the negatively charged water vapor. So that's Brown's gas. So when she's saying the hydrogen water is better than deuterium depleted water, is she referring just to hydrogen enriched water or Brown's gas?
Are you referring to the hydrogen enriched water or the Brown's gas? Are you both? No, just the water, the hydrogen enriched water.
Okay.
So I'm fascinated, right? Because deuterium depleted water I know how that works. I mean, it's a long process. It's not easy.
No,
So are
it's
you
no.
speaking in terms, well, those machines are very expensive, right?
Well,
To
you
make.
can't. You can't actually buy a machine that makes it. You have to buy the water. There's no commercial machine right now. There's one that's advertised, but I think we probed it and it didn't work.
Oh, that's right. So
Yeah,
the
so
other way you do it is by putting water and in a
the
container,
ice.
and then
Yeah.
you have to freeze it, and then you take off the top layer, then you
Yes.
freeze it again. I mean, it's very long process to
Yeah.
create that deuterium depleted water. So are you speaking, let me ask, are you speaking in terms of is it the process? Is it easier to obtain? Is that what makes it so score so much higher than deuterium depleted water? She says no.
Hmm. Okay. So in terms of helping out the mitochondria, is the hydrogen enriched water better than deuterium depleted water?
In terms of the mitochondria, and you're talking about the energy production of the mitochondria
Yeah.
in terms of the mitochondria. Now she's saying deuterium depleted water is better.
Okay. All right. That's what I would
But
have.
as far as like anti-disease, anti-inflammation,
Mm-hmm.
anti, polyp, anti-cancer, anti all of those things. Um, Also anticoagulant. She's saying, I don't understand all this. This is far beyond
Mm.
my knowledge. But so the overall benefits outweigh the deuterium depleted water. Deuterium depleted water, she says, is a more targeted approach.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, I
You
understand.
understand what she's saying. I don't get it.
Yeah, and it actually does make sense to me now that you give me that context because, like, really, if you use this machine that I'm on right now, you're gonna feel something immediately. But if you drink deuterium depleted water, like I have also, you're probably not gonna feel anything because it's happening targeted directly down at like the, almost like physics level, right? So it's like it's a process you won't know for a few months or weeks or something like that, maybe, right? This is pretty immediate, so I
Well,
get
I
that.
know somebody, George Disman. Those of you in the CTT group, you know who that is. Um, he had colon cancer, but he had been drinking deuterium depleted water for years, and he made it himself using the freezer method, right? Let me ask her,
Yeah, let's ask her why that didn't work. Or if it did and we some other reason.
why did that not work for George? The cancer was too aggressive. Okay,
Mm.
so what if he had access at the time to hydrogen water? That would have been a better approach, particularly because it hits the digestive system in such a way and he could consume more of it.
Hmm.
She's telling me he actually didn't consume a lot of deuterium depleted water. By the
That
time he
yeah.
made it, it was a very small amount.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say. I think the freezer method is definitely not the way to go if you were really trying to hit something like that. You really would want to buy the actual water where you're sure it's quality controlled to be like the lowest levels possible. You're just not going to get to the level of the water that you buy.
So
By
I have
just
to
using
probe
method.
this even more, even though I have George standing here who actually passed with colon cancer. But I want to ask Mei Wen Ho to get a more objective view. So why did George pass with colon cancer? Because he was doing CTT on someone who had
Hmm.
cancer, and I had a red flag. I refused to do it. Is that why he contracted colon cancer? No, that was contracted in his soul timeline. Okay, she's telling me, but it definitely absorbing that energy from that person who did have digestive cancer. She had stomach and colon. That caused a modification in his energy field in that area, which was already, what she's telling me, was already very susceptible and fragile anyway.
Hmm.
Therefore, the cells reproduced and into, you know, disease or damaged cells, and eventually they turn cancerous. Okay.
Right.
So the deuterium depleted water, though, he was drinking that long before he got colon cancer. And she says, oh no, he wasn't. It was actually there for quite some time. It was lying dormant, just waiting to be reactivated. So I don't know where to go with that line of questioning, but I know that he was always so diligent in making deuterium depleted water. So I'm kind of shocked
Well,
by
then
this.
ask Mei Wen Ho, because he was making it himself in his freezer, was the potency of it was not as was it strong enough?
Oh, good question. So because he was making it, the deuterium depleted water on his own in the freezer, was it not that potent? No, she said it was very potent. It just wasn't enough. He needed to have a lot more. And also, okay, this is interesting because as his mobility decreased, his oxygen supply decreased.
Okay.
And you really need to hit the body with a combination of things. It really isn't just one thing that's going to be the cure-all. It has to be a whole combination.
Okay.
So the fact that you are using the hydrogen, the oxygen, and what is the other one?
The electrically expanded water, or I know it's a mouthful. Well,
Electrically is expanded water.
yeah.
That is a more, she's saying, holistic approach, as in it's a more effective approach. If you're just relying on one thing to fight whatever it is you have, most likely it's going to lose. You have to have a multi-pronged approach, right?
Yep.
At least 3 or 4 different things targeting this thing, because you are basically going into the consciousness of this disease and you've got to take it down. Now, I have to ask her another question, right? We'll never get this video finished today because this is just going on, and I love it. I love it. So, how difficult is it to break down and dissolve the consciousness of a disease? It's extremely difficult. Is it possible? It is very possible. But so that's what you're doing. You have to basically convince the consciousness of that disease or damage or whatever that problem is, that it needs to dissolve itself, right? So you have to convince it to dissolve and go away. Now that is very, very hard. And if you think about that process, that's why you have to attack it from many, many sides. You have to make sure that this thing cannot thrive, because as we know, the whole universe is built on consciousness, right? Consciousness will fight to sustain itself. Therefore, if it has a little sliced a chance of survival, it will definitely find a way to reprogram itself in order that it survives. So when we are fighting diseases, are we actually fighting the consciousness of that disease? Absolutely.
Interesting. So the will to live, the will to survive, all that, your mindset, your intention, that is all. And we already knew that, but now we know that there's another level of why that's so effective.
Yeah, and that's why when you're targeting diseases, right, you have to use a full-on attack. Now, is that why, like, you have to use a combination often of chemotherapy, radiation, diet? You see, people are just trying to fight things, without using every employable method possible. And she's telling me, when you're trying to take down a consciousness, you really have to go in and you have to make sure all your bases are covered when you're trying to pull that consciousness down into the point where it can no longer exist.
Right.
Why is consciousness such a big thing? Why is it so difficult to break? Because it has that's where the ultimate will to survive comes from.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. If you don't have the will to survive, you're not going to survive for sure. Absolutely. All right, let's wrap this one up because we don't want to make it too
Wow.
long for YouTube. And yeah, maybe we'll ask our members if they want to do a part 2. They can submit some questions. And if you want to see part 2, you got to be a member. If you want to ask questions, you got to be a member. So how do they do that, Liz?
You can go to patreon.com/remote viewing and beyond. There's also other ways to support the channel. On YouTube, there is a support the channel membership. It's only a few dollars, I think $3 or $4. There's a way you can support Mr. Photon, who came up with this probe today. He has a tip jar and an email address listed in the comments. If you have something that you think may be really fascinating and beneficial for many people to learn about, please email Mr. Photon at digitalfreedomtactics@protonmail.com. And you can always come to the Patreon, go on the Discord. We just appreciate everything that you guys do. Without you, we would not be here. So I am so grateful. And listen, I don't care what anybody says. We have the best group out there. We do. We have the best group out there. We're like one big vehicle and we're all working towards the same goal. And that's consciousness expansion, enlightenment, and how to deal with events in the future. So we're just the best. I have to brag. I'm sorry. So thank you, Mr. Photon, for everything that you do for us. And thank you to all of our listeners.
Thank you.